Hey everyone. Now I've been doing a bit of RF stuff lately with the SDR, and I've decided to fix up my antenna run that I've got to the antennas on the roof so I can run the hack RF at the desk and transmit or receive in that with its dedicated antenna. So I just got some cable here, which is 15 meters of RG58, so 50 ohm cable. If some of you remember one of the older videos I did, I had sort of bits of cable patched together, which did for the time, but really I just want one run. So here I have the N-type connector that's going to go to the antenna on the roof and the SMA for the receiver down here. So I'm just going to go up on the roof and swap the cable that's there for this one and run it down the wall to the desk. All right, I'm just going to put this piece of carpet between the ladder and the gutter, try and not scrape it so much while I look directly at the sunlight. All right, even though the weather's getting cooler, these tyres are still hot as hell. Well, not hot as hell, but anyway, just going to lift that a bit and grab the existing cable from within the roof, which I've unplugged already, that was connected to the SDR receivers. So it's got an SMA plug on there, so it was pretty easy to get through. So now I'll just cut these zip ties. It would actually be easier if I took them off first, but oh shit, actually I can't do it like that. Anyway, this whole thing should just come off now. Take the existing N-type plug off. I need to find out it's a fucking PL259. Shit. Alright. This is the N-type one, so I'm just going to swap antennas for now. I can drop down there. The problem was this antenna had the PL259 in it, and that one's got the N-type. I thought they were both N-type, but I got that wrong. So here's the old cable that I use on the other antenna, and now the new cable on this one. It's right here. Right, I'll get an antenna out of this yet. That'll go into the roof and down the wall into where the desk is. Alright, now we're cooking with induction. It's N-type. That's right. Okay, done. Alright, now I've just got to go in the house and run that down the walls to the room, which is about there. Hey Mick, you want an antenna? Alright, it's night time now, so it's a bit cooler. And here's the cable where it came down from the roof. And it's all sitting here, and I've got the end here. So I'm going to run that to where it's got to go down the wall there. But what was here, I'll just show you, were the SDR receivers. Okay, now as I said, that antenna used to come down here and feed these RTS dongles through a couple of little splitters here. Well, splitters is splitting cables really. And they go straight into the Raspberry Pi, and then it's IP traffic from there on. So the idea was to put this up here to keep the RF run pretty short. But what I'll do is I'll move that to the other end where the other antenna is, and tomorrow I'll go back up there and hook up that PL259, the same as it was here basically, but that one. Oh, fuck. Come out to California, we'll get together, have a few laughs. Fuck's sake, whose idea was this shit? Fuck's sake, whose idea was this shit? Alright, I'm sort of in position here. So this is the cable that's got to go down the wall, okay? But what I did last time, when I put the power cable in for the roller shutters, I ran a drawway here so I don't have to muck around so much. So I'll tape this to this. I should just be able to pull that straight back down. So that was thinking ahead. And I'm also going to put one on this end, so I'll still have one once I've pulled that through. So I'll just tape this little package up and send it down the wall. And it should be easier than having to fish it out again with the snake. So just tape all this up and see how we go. I'm just going to poke this down to where it's going to start heading down there to give it a bit of a start. And hopefully this will all stay relatively straight so it gets down there. Rightio, so down here somewhere I tucked away the draw wire. That's the speaker wire. God. Oh, it's in here somewhere. Right, there's the draw wire. So I'll just untangle it from a bit of this shit. Now theoretically, I should be able to pull this down. Something will go wrong, but we'll see. Whoop. Please hang in there. Of course, there's always something fucking gets caught. There just always is. Fucking what's going on? Hey, hang on, hey. Hey! Got it. Right, and there's my draw wire for whatever cable I end up doing one day in the future. Just quickly, after I ran that cable last night, I hooked it up to the Hack RF, but I got absolutely no signal. And it dawned on me, from the antenna that I brought down here was the N-type connector, which means the one up there isn't. The other one is for this PL259 plug, so that's an SO239 socket called a UHF connector. Anyway, this has a much bigger pin in the middle. So up there, because I've got the socket for this up there, when I plugged the really thin N-type connector into it, it won't have even been touching the sides. So that's why there's no signal. So I'll fix that up today. I don't know what happened, what I was thinking yesterday, but I've mixed that up somewhere along the way. So, you know, there you go. Sometimes we all fuck up. We just try and keep it to a minimum. Alright, I've just shut down this pipe because I'm going to move this plank of wood up to the upper end where the other antenna is at the front of the house. So I'll just move that up there, put a couple of zip ties in all the same, and put it close to that antenna on. Okay, now I've moved that Raspberry Pi up the front here, so these 4 RTL SDR dongles are connected to the antenna at the front of the house. That just goes straight to them on the network, and the other antenna feeds down into the room where I can plug whatever I want in there. Those of you who've watched this channel for a long time might remember when I installed the Discone, I mentioned that I had a bit of RG58 here, which is 50 ohm cable, through a bit of an F-type connector here, an adapter going to bloody RG6 75 ohm, and I said that was dodgy and I was going to fix it up. Well, you know, I got around to it as I said I would. But I remember the comments like telling me all about balanced cables like I didn't have a fucking clue. I knew what would work in the situation too, which it did for receive. But I said I'd get around to fix it up, and now I have. Okay, now I've got the Hack RF hooked up, and I can have a look at it on GQRX. One thing I'll mention though is I had to connect it to the USB ports on the motherboard of the computer, because when I put them in the expansion card, even though they're USB 3 ports, it was not quite perfect. It just glitched a little bit. So it runs smoother on the onboard ones. So that's what I'm using. Anyway, have a quick look. Right, this is just the regular FM stations. So I can unmute them, and you'll hear as I click around, each one of these spikes, of course, is a station and that. So blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff. Just mute it. Here I've got some aircraft stuff. There's one there I've just missed. These are my bookmarks up here. They may or may not be right. But it's just so I can click on something quickly if I see a bit of energy come up down here. So there's one that I don't have bookmarked, and I've missed it. This one I do. Oh, A-card, sorry. That's a messaging system. If you can hear that, I can decode that in other programs, which I've done videos on, but some of this stuff will be voice. So that sort of thing. If I move up a bit, I've got the VHF frequencies here that all the boats use, and you can listen to all the channels here, and I've just got on one of the channels here. You can hear sometimes the ambulance boat that gets around there, And one thing you'll notice is in my bookmarks here, I've put an A next to a lot of them because a lot of the channels transmits from shore to ship on a different frequency than ship to shore. So if I zoom out a little bit, up here, there's a whole bunch of other frequencies on the same channel for, if you like, the return path. So one's from the shore to ship, one's from ship to shore. But some of them are just on the one channel anyway, like VHF channel 13 is one that just uses that channel all the time. There's something on 12 there. Okay, so that's them. If you go up to UHF, you can see the UHF CB channels here, and channel 7's always going off generally because that's a repeater. So if I just unmute that, there'll be something happening.
If they haven't got you fucking on better level ground and it's not fucking solid, and
they're always going off, but there's always something to listen to there. And here you've got the government wireless network, which is, well, that's mostly COPS. You can see transmissions come and go, but that's trunked audio, and that's a different kettle of fish. I may look into that in a future video, but that'll be encrypted anyway, so we won't be hearing that really. We've got Queensland Rail as well, so you can listen to the trains. There was a transmission there just before. That's trunked audio as well, but that shouldn't be encrypted, so probably be able to hear some of that at some point. Here's the digital radio stations, and I did a video a little while ago about digital radio, and at that time there were only these 3 ensembles, but since then they've added a 4th one down at the Gold Coast, which is also booming in. So they're quite big. And if I just scroll down a bit in frequency here, I've got some bookmarks where some TV stations are. So there's one there and another one there, but you can see their signal's nothing compared to the radio. And that goes back to that video I did on polarization where I showed that. So that's why this antenna is a vertically polarized antenna, whereas TV transmits horizontally. So the radio is good. That's all I cared about for this. And of course, where would we be without 433? That's the neighbourhood unlicensed stuff that's in the area, like car remotes or weather stations and whatnot. I've done a video on that before, but they're just data pulses coming in loud and clear. Now, what do you reckon this is? It's 612. Well, it looks like it's modulating as I speak, and the reason is because it's this microphone. So if I turn it up, you'll hear just the delay between me and it. The antenna's of course on the roof, but that's my microphone going through the air as I record this. So anyway, that's just a brief look of the fact that it's working. But in coming videos, I might do a bit more involved RF stuff and get really stuck into it, especially with GNU radio, because that's where you get to build your own radio. But anyway, that'll do for now. Till next time, take it easy.